starting a new thing in Boca. It's called BBB, Boca Borscht Belt. I'm going to open up a theater for the BBB. They'll hire me. I do need it.
Okay, let's roll.
Mishpatim.
Mishpatim.
At the end. Location in the wrong place.
Okay.
It's codified.
Beautiful, powerful Parsha this week. Really loaded with laws of the Torah between man and man. As we end the Parsha between man and God. But there's a very powerful teaching this week on the Parsha, and a pasuk and a portion, and a teaching of the Baal Shem Tov, which the Baal Shem Tov revolutionized the way we look at things. And ultimately, all the Chabad rabbis that followed, taught this teaching more deeper, and the Rebbe ultimately accentuated this teaching of the Baal Shem Tov, which revolutionized the world. In the 1600s, the Baal Shem Tov revolutionized the world with this teaching based on a famous pasuk in this week's Parsha. This pasuk is not only a pasuk that is spoken in the Gemara, but the Alter Rebbe, and we're not going to go into interpretation of the Gemara on this pasuk, because that alone is a couple of classes. But this Parsha, we're going to talk about the way the Baal Shem Tov reads the pasuk in this week's Parsha. The pasuk, the verse itself. So we find a verse in this week's Parsha, text number 1, page 98, verse in Exodus chapter 23, verse number 5. Kisida chamer seinacha. Right? We spoke about this in the JLI class. When you see your enemy's donkey, roivetz tachas masoy, that's lying under its burden. Would you refrain from helping him? You shall surely help him. Right? So here is the teaching. So we know the Gemara goes into this, the halacha goes into this verse in many, many different ways. And what's the meaning of the verse in the legal aspect? We're going to go away from that. We're going to go to the Baal Shem Tov, about teaching about Baal Shem Tov in its spiritual context. Now, the beauty of the Baal Shem Tov and explaining it in its spiritual context is that they're interconnected. The spiritual and the physical context, the basic context of the verse, are interconnected in the spiritual. And we're going to mention an Rashi over here, which Rashi explains something, and it's going to be in the way the Baal Shem Tov and the Rebbe connects this whole thing, the Rashi and the verse and its spiritual context is truly beautiful. But what was the revolutionary teaching of the Baal Shem Tov? Kisida chamer. Okay, let's go to English. The teaching of Baal Shem Tov, the verse states, when you see the donkey, chamer, that's the chamer a lot. Right? Seemingly, he likes the donkey a lot. Abraham's donkey, and Bilam's donkey, and Moses' donkey, and Mashiach's donkey, and they all had donkeys. Chamer. And over here in this week's Parsha, Chamer. So the Baal Shem Tov uses the word Chamer, and he uses it to meaning Chamer, chumrius, the word denseness. So the Baal Shem Tov said, if you see your donkey, if you look at your body, that's a donkey, because it's dense. And it's roivetz tachas masoy. It is laboring due to the load that it's carrying, this body, this physical body. And you look at this physical body, right? And you say to this physical body, look, maybe, because since the spiritual zone, it's all about the spiritual part of life. So therefore, crash. No, comes the pasuk and says, "Azay tazi v'imay." You need to help the body. You need to help the physical body. So that is what's careful inspected your body, the chayma you will see of your enemy, one who hates you, for it hates the soul that longs for godliness and spirituality. What's more, you will see that it is lying under the burden. God intended that the body be refined by the study of Torah and observance of mitzvahs, but it is lax in the fulfillment of its task. Hence, you might think that you should refrain from helping it. Shem Tov lived in a time that that many of the leaders, the sages of that time, and the so to say the learners of that time were extremely abusive to their bodies. And the rest of the Jews just plodded along. There was a great divide between the learners, the scholars, who in essence said and that's why the scholars and the learners would put down the majority of the people, because they were mundane, the boors, the ignoramus, the people that called Amaratzim, people of the land, physical people that dealt with the land. They were spiritual people, and therefore they put themselves through pain and suffering to show that they needed to divest themselves in anything physical. Comes about Shem Tov to both parties, to both entities, and says, no, don't let your body, don't diminish the value of your body. Don't diminish the value of your physical side of you. You're going to refrain from helping it, refrain from helping to fulfill its mission, and instead mortify yourself and break your body, material tendencies. However, this is not the proper way to reach the light of the Torah. Instead, you shall surely help it by refining. Help your body, uplift your body. You need to refine your body. You need to work with it. You need to develop it. You need to take care of it, rather than breaking it through self-affliction. And this was a revolution. If you know the historical times about Shem Tov, this was truly a revolutionary teaching of the Baal Shem Tov. Through his time, ultimate uplifting Jews who were either afflicting themselves. The more pain they had, the more they felt, the more religious they were, or those that just plodded along life and struggled because of whatever the struggles of life were at that time.
Why wouldn't they?
No, because the body is going to too much. It's our enemy. The body is our enemy, and we need to put it down, and we need to fast, and we need to pain ourselves and afflict us. Go back in history. This was extremely a philosophical concept in Judaism. The Baal Shem Tov revolutionized Judaism. Came and told Yidden, all kinds of Jews in his time, and said to them, that's not the way Yiddishkeit is. You need to respect the body. You need to help the body. We're not talking about the physical, we're not talking about do exercise. That's not the point of the Baal Shem Tov. It's self-understood. Me to uplift his body. You need to tell the importance of the body, just like the soul has a mission, the body has a mission. And they don't contradict each other. I'm not against it, but that's not the Baal Shem Tov didn't open up a med club. That was not his thing. It's just California club. He didn't do that. So the Baal Shem Tov was out to tell a person, my friends, sure, I just would see. It's important to be healthy. Nobody's arguing with you. But the importance of Baal Shem Tov wanted to bring out more than why you need a healthy body. Because the body has a mission like the soul has a mission. They both have the same mission. And he brings down the Rambam. So he brings down the So there was a teaching. So the Rebbe, in text number 3, the Rebbe brings down the teaching of the Maggid and Mezritch on page 100. I skipped text number 2.
Yeah.
Oh, it's another the Baal Shem Tov. So text number 3, there was a teaching from the Maggid of Mezritch that he taught to his son Rabbi Avram the angel. He had a son, the Maggid of Mezritch, who was the student of Baal Shem Tov, became the leader after the passing of the Baal Shem Tov. He had a son who was called the Malach. He was an angel because he was like an angel. He was a person that was separated from the world. They called him the Malach. Be careful with your bodily health. The Maggid asked the Alter Rebbe he should learn with his son the Malach, and the Alter Rebbe, the story is told that he used to always keep a bagel near them. So if the Malach got too spiritually involved, he gave him a bagel. He used to give him a bagel to eat. So to bring him back down to earth, he should remember that he shouldn't have this spiritual ecstasy. You know, he's a fly off to heaven. They didn't have a bread that was round. They had a bagel. Be careful with your bodily health. Who said they didn't have bagels then? Who decided that? Why was bagels your So you think that's what everything New York, since everything was invented there? Maybe it wasn't. Okay, be careful with your health, for even the slightest hole in the body creates a gaping hole in the soul. So it's interesting that the Mishnah Maggid didn't say, "Oh, be careful with your body because your body needs to be healthy." No, because your body, if your body is unhealthy, your soul's unhealthy. Because the soul cannot accomplish anything without the body. So in this world, if the soul in Gan Eden maybe can accomplish things in Gan Eden, but the soul cannot accomplish anything in this world without the body. And when the body is sick, in essence, the soul is sick. It goes both ways. When the soul is sick, the body's going to be sick too. So we need to have that the body and the soul are healthy and well. And a lot of times, the body's healthy, but the soul is sick because the body is not giving the soul any connection to its body. Yeah. Right.
But then
We'll get to that.
now,
We'll get.
intermittent fasting is one of the healthy.
We'll soon see about fasting. We'll come to that. We'll come to that because that's a. Okay. So maintaining with text number 4, my mind. We know we brought Maimonides. We know Maimonides says. So what's the revolution that the Alter Rebbe said? You have to, the Baal Shem Tov said you have to take care of your body. The Rambam lived before the Baal Shem Tov, and maintain. They say the Rambam writes, maintaining a healthy and sound body is amongst the ways of God. For one cannot understand or have any knowledge of the Creator if he's ill. Therefore, a person must avoid that which harms the body and accustom himself to do which is healthful and helps the body become stronger. So we need to be healthy, self-understood to be healthy. So what really is a teaching about Shem Tov in this verse? And therefore, the Rebbe is going to go to the Rashi. I mentioned before the Rashi, the commentator on this verse. Let's look at the commentator. You're going to go to the commentator. The Rashi, it's a very interesting verse. He's like, the verse is like humorous, or like it's like in a question, right? Kisira chamer senacha, if you see the donkey of your enemy, are you not going to help him? Right? Are you not going to help him? You're surely going to help him, right? Well, by By helping the donkey, you're helping the enemy. I mean, it's his donkey. It's he can't do one without the other. So the question, the pasuk is talking a question, right? That's it, Rashi. Would you refrain from helping your enemy? Text number 5a. You shall surely help along with him, right? So like a question. Are you gonna help? Like, are you gonna? What are you gonna do? God is like questioning you. What are you gonna do? You're driving down the road on your donkey, and you see the donkey of your enemy is. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna help him? I don't know. What are you gonna do? Like God is asking the question. It's like almost like this thing is happening right now. You drive down the donkey. You see the. What are you gonna do? Yankel, what you gonna do? Zalman, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You gonna pull over or not? Oh, so God says, I'm sure you're gonna pull over, right? Why couldn't he just say, you see a donkey, you're gonna surely pull over? Talking about lost. Donkey, so you can't move. He's under his layer. He's under the power of the the owner's there. The owner's there. As a taziv ima, you shall help him with the owner. That's halacha. We're not going to halacha. Push the halacha on the side for a couple. Let's go to the ethical.
If the owner doesn't want to help, then you don't have to help.
That's halacha. Whatever. So ready? Let's smoke it. What? What? Right. Correct. That's what I was a taziv ima. You have to help him. You have to help the owner. Right. Or take some stuff off, put on another donkey. So midrashically, our rabbis interpret the verse as follows. If you see, you may refrain. So why is it a question? So the question that Rashi's brought it, why is the pasuk saying a question? Every other, most commandments in the Torah says, you see A, do B. I mean, what is the question? Are you going to help him? Like, are you going to, Torah said, you see the donkey enemy, you have to help him. Finished. Why in a question? So the Medrash says, not always you have to help him. It's a problem. Should you help him? Maybe you don't have to help him. I'm 90, I'm 100 years old man. Well, I'm going to help him. Everybody can help him. I'm a sick person. What am I doing? I'm traveling I can't move. I'm going to help him. I have back problems. I'm going to help him. I'm going to get worse back problems. What do you mean? Everybody has to help him? No, not everybody has to help him. Sometimes you don't have to help him, right? That's what the Chacham learn, right? That's what the sages say. This means that sometimes you may indeed refrain from helping somebody. And sometimes you must help. That's why the expression, are you going to help him? Are you capable of helping him? Not capable? You're not capable. If you're capable, then you should help him. How so? An elderly who's beneath his dignity. Let's say it's a chief rabbi. He's going to help the guy's donkey. He's a chief rabbi. It's not lefi kvaida. It's not for his honor to get down and start schlepping packages of it's not in the kvaida. So therefore, you may refrain. You're not obligated. It's not to the honor of the rabbi of the city walking down, sees a shlah, sees a donkey. He's not to his honor. He doesn't have to do that, right? Or if the animal belongs, this is an interesting expression. If the animal belongs to a Gentile. I knew you were going to say that. An enemy. What? An enemy, that's your Gentile. That's a Gentile, an enemy. A Gentile enemy. You pass by Mussolini's animal and he's you're going to help him. You're going to help Hitler's animal. You're not obligated. And the burden belongs, so he says, a Gentile animal, but so what's the question? Why would you help a Gentile that's your enemy animal? What's the question? No, it's a Gentile's animal, but it's a Jewish package. Now we have a dilemma. Are you going to help him or you're not going to help him? So therefore, the pasuk says, maybe you may refrain from helping him. Interesting Rashi. What an interesting Rashi. That Rashi to come up with such an interpretation of a simple verse. Right? You need to have great interpretations to this verse. I can simply, I see her pass by my enemy's donkey. Why it says an enemy? Because surely if it's someone that I like, I should help. Even if he's my enemy, I have the mitzvah to help him. And now she goes through a whole ganze Maisa. He goes through a whole interpretation of it. It's a question. Maybe you should help him. Maybe you shouldn't help him. A Goyish donkey, a Jewish package. What happens to a Goyish package and a Jewish package?
The short answer is maybe.
The truth is, we went into a pasuk which says your which anybody would read the pasuk talking about a Jewish donkey and a Jewish thing. Now Rashi changes it and turns it into a non-Jewish donkey and a Jewish package. How did Rashi go to that? How did Rashi go to that? The truth is, Rashi doesn't say this out of thin air. Rashi bases on a medrash. It's a medrash. Every Rashi almost is a medrash. Rashi's a medrash. It's a medrash that says it. And that's why Rashi actually starts off. Medrashay. That's the wording of the Rashi. Medrashay. So the Rashi brings that to Mechilta. It's a medrash. And what's fascinating is that Rashi that brings on the medrash skips part of the medrash. And you have the medrash in front of you because the medrash continues. And the medrash says, you should refrain from helping him. Text number 5b. There are instances where you do refrain. How so? If the animal were to be in a cemetery and you're a kohen, now you cannot go into the cemetery. You cannot purify yourself to help the animal because you're a kohen. You have a prohibition from purifying yourself. Rashi skips that whole medrash, skips the mechilta. So he brings down part of the medrash, and he doesn't say the entire medrash. You have the teaching of Baal Shem Tov, right? Teaching Baal Shem Tov that it goes on. It goes on the pasuk goes on your body in Nefesh Bahamas. We have the Rashi that explains that that means a non-Jewish donkey that you don't have to help, that has Jewish packages. Rashi doesn't mention the cemetery part. What? How do you put this whole thing together? How do you put this whole thing together? Here, the Rebbe explains it as follows. You ready? So let's go a little bit back. We're going to go a little bit back. We're going to go to the fasting business, okay? We're going to go to the fasting. Yes, sure.
This one it says like,
Right.
when you say that, I assume.
Yeah, the master, the owner of the donkey. The owner of the donkey. A donkey is not Jewish. A donkey is not Jewish. We're talking about the owner of the donkey. The owner. What? Why should that matter? Good question. So why would Rashi go there? We'll soon see. Let's see. The Rebbe is going to explain that Rashi really wants to tell us a spiritual concept. Rashi really wants to explain you the Baal Shem Tov's teaching. Rashi is going to tell you a spiritual concept. And let's go to the concept of the body. Let's go to because let's go to the concept of the Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov, the basic teaching of the Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov's basic teaching is that your body is your donkey, right? The donkey is your body, or your nefesh habahamis, your animalistic soul. Your body, your physical side of you is your donkey. Chumrius, he bases on the word chaymer, chumrius, your denseness. That's why Abraham rode a donkey, harnessed his chumrius, and Moshe Rabbeinu rode a donkey, and Mashiach's going to come on a donkey. Why? That's why Mashiach is going to come on a donkey, because Mashiach is going to ultimately ride the chumrius. He's going to ultimately transform the denseness of this world. That's why he's not going to come on a horse. He's going to specifically come on a donkey, right? Let's go to let's discuss this, right? Let's go to the concept of what used to be tradition. What was tradition? When a person, you have a godly soul and you have a physical body, and the body sins. The body does negative things, right? What do? In Jewish tradition, what was done? So in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, you brought a sacrifice, right? That was a major part of the temple. Was a sacrifice. What did Jews do after the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed? Right? If the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, there was no sacrificial offering. How do you rectify sin? How did Jews rectify sin? Fasting, right? So we know there are 5 fast days in the year, right? Why do we have 5? Why do we have even Yom Kippur? The whole concept of Yom Kippur is the concept of fast day. God says you shall afflict your soul by fasting, and I'll forgive you. So it's not that the sages came up with fasting because of just wanted to pain people, but in essence the Torah says so. It's a Torah. The Torah fast day is Yom Kippur. That's the fast day which brings kapara, which brings forgiveness on the Jewish nation. The rabbis then added another 4 fast days, right? You have Asar B'Tevis and Tisha B'Av and Tainus Esther is coming up, and some Gedalia. What? Yeah, but that's the firstborn. Yeah, that's a separate thing. But that's not the Jewish nation. That's another firstborn.
Why isn't Shuka enough?
Because the body. The problem is you did something negative with your body, and that's the problem. How do you? Just like again, the point of the sacrifice was. The point of the sacrifice was to bring the fats and the blood on the mizbeach. How does one do that today? How does one do that if there's no temples? By fasting, which diminishes the fats. It diminishes your fats. It diminishes your body fat, and that's like a sacrifice. That's where the concept came. But the pasuk says, "You shall pain your body, and that will bring you kapara." Sumashir mechaper, the Gemara says. The fast of the day brings kapara. Yeah. Shuva has to do with the soul, touch of the soul, but the soul is ultimately collected to his body. So we need to ultimately rectify the body. And we need to ultimately bring some rectification for the body. The fasting does the rest, so to say.
Fasting does the best.
Look at the Alter Rebbe. But the Alter Rebbe, we see that it has changed. The world has changed. We don't fast as much as in the times of the sages. Times of the Gemara. If you go to the Gemara, they used to fast a lot. We don't fast like that. So look at the Alter Rebbe in text number 6. A person does not have ownership over their body to maim, shame, or pain it in any way, including denying the body food and drink. The only time this would be acceptable if one does it for the purpose of tshuva. That will be the only time that you can hurt your body. so to say, because you're hurting your body. Fasting is hurting your body. In such case, the pain endured by the body is actually a favor. It saves their soul from spiritual death. And therefore, that would be allowed to fast. By the same token, one may fast for any tshuva-related purpose, even if they're not physically fit to do so. By contrast, one who's physically fit, they fast, even if it's not tshuva-related circumstances. Rather, they're doing so to cleanse their soul before God, for there's no greater favor than this, the concept of fasting. But the Alter Rebbe continues in text number 7a. In the early works of the early ethical works, chief amongst them the Rekeach, of worms in the 13th century in Germany, and the Sefer Chassidim, Rabbi Yehuda Achos in the 12th century in Germany, speak of many fasts and other afflictions for those who commit serious sins. The purpose of such behavior is to be spared from the suffering, punished in the world to come, God forbid. It is also intended to speed up the process of cleansing of the soul. It is also possible that a person who is unable to return to God wholeheartedly out of love, they must resort to fear. So that's the fasting. But let's go further. Text number 7b. The Alter Rebbe continues. After one has done tshuva for their sins, there's still another step to gain favor, and has to be cherished before God as if they were prior for sinning, is to give God the similar sense of pleasure from their service as they did before. To accomplish this in temple times, a person was required to bring a burnt offering. As our sages expand the Medrash on the verse, and it will be accepted before him. This sacrifice was like an appeasement offering after one did tshuva and was completely absolved from their punishment. It is kin to someone who disobeyed a king and secured forgiveness through his intervention of a helpful minister. Still, the perpetrator will send an appeasement offering to curry favor and once again gain guidance, audience to the king. Now that we no longer have an option of offering a sacrifice to appease God, fasting takes its place. If you look in Kabbalah, Arizal taught his students that the appropriate number of fasts one should undergo for various sins, even less severe ones, like that, 151 fasts for getting angry. Yeah.
Getting angry.
No, you can't do it all at once.
Amount and stay alive. Unless you
No, you don't fast to 151 days in one shot.
so you
Once a week for the next 10 years. Now, the problem is, what happens if you got angry 10 times? Trust me, if you fast 151 times for the first time you got angry, you'll never get angry again. Now you're going to have to get fast now 151 times. You just got angry. So really, the concept of fasting by in Jewish tradition is a very, very interesting, a very powerful concept. That a person to be able to rectify himself, a person to be able to connect himself, is like bringing a sacrifice. The concept of fasting. What? I didn't finish 7? Oh. But the Alter Rebbe continued. Oh, I'm sorry. I did that.
Yeah.
I just said that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did.
that's what that don't even say.
Trust me, there's a lot of fast. So we don't do that. We'll soon come to that. We don't do any more fast. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Because we don't need it. We don't need to come on to fast anymore. We don't need to come on to fast. What?
What came out of your head?
What?
The fasting in 51.
No. It didn't come out of my head. So let's look at the text number 8. Let's continue. We'll just go on. You'll see where we're headed. So fasting, the Rebbe continues. Look at the Sichos. The Rebbe says, fasting as a form of tshuva is typically done when trying to do tshuva for an actual sin. Rashi alludes to this scenario with the case of a non-Jewish animal saddled by a Jewish load. When a Jew sins, God forbid, their body and the animal soul are ripped away from holiness and are temporarily introduced into the clutches of the evil and negativity. In other words, they become like an animal of a non-Jew. So that's the meaning of Rashi. Rashi says, if you're in a situation, if you see that your body, your animal soul has sinned, so it's become a Jewish, it become like, so to say, a non-Jewish owner to this animal, but his packages are Jewish. He's still a Jew. His packages are still Jew. So what do you do? What do you do? Should you help him or shouldn't you help him? So the Gemara, like for example, the Gemara says in 9a, Reish Lakish said, with regard to his sinners of Jewish people, that the fire of Gehenna have no power of them. They are filled with good deeds like a pomegranate. It's filled with good deeds like a pomegranate. And as the Alter Rebbe says in 9b, even during the moment of sin, a Jew remains completely faithful to God because he has an neshama, he has a godly soul. So therefore, he's like the non-Jewish owner of the animal and the Jewish packages. So such a person, what do you do? Are you allowed to what do you do with that? What do you do with that kind of situation? Where your neshama is where you're sinning, God forbid. You're sinning. Your guf has become part of an owner, somebody else's owner. It became part of your animalistic owner. Came like a non-Jewish owner, but the package is Jewish. What do you do with this guf? What do you do with this situation? Should you help him? Should you help the guf continue to do averos? Should you help the guf to continue to sin? Even though it remains Jewish, what should you do? What should you do? You have to ask the question. You have to ask a question. You can't just say, you have to ask a question. You can't just say a statement like that. Because then you can't answer the question. How am I supposed to answer? That's that question. Jewish loaf. And we see Jew. You ask a question. Sin.
Only Jews sin?
No.
The pasuk is talking to a Jew. What do you want? The pasuk is not talking to the world. The pasuk is talking to a Jew. If you see your body, I have a time to go. I'm leaving. If you see your body that is loaded with sin, you have done averos. Are you obligated to help this body that's sinning? Your own body, I'm not talking about somebody else, your own body. Are you obligated to help him? or not? No, you're not supposed to help the body continue to sin. You have to stop the body from sinning. You turn away from sin. It's getting away. That is helping, but it's helping in a different way. It's not helping the body to go, okay, you know what? The body's sinning. Let's help the body. Let's go and sin more. Let's help the body sin more. That's why now she says the question of the pasuk is as follows. When do you need to help the body? Before it sins? Or when it's doing tshuva? When it's getting rid of its sin? That's when you need to help the body. Whether it's before it's sin or it's after it's sin, it's doing tshuva, you need to help the body. But should you help the body? Should you figure out more ways how to help the body to sin? Self-understood. You shouldn't do that. So what Rashi is in essence saying. But if the body is sinning or not, it's ultimately the person's a Jew. And therefore, he still has the capability of doing tshuva. He still has the capability of doing tshuva. So you don't have to help him sin. What do you have to help him? You have to help him. Help him do tshuva. Help him repent. That's how you have to help him. Right? So therefore, we're not talking about somebody else. We're talking about yourself. Let's go to let's skip the 10. Let's go to 11 for a second. Okay, 11. We can now understand why, metaphorically speaking, Rashi chose not to use the example of the Kohen in the cemetery. Spiritually speaking, what this represents is the animal may be in a cemetery, for through sin, the body and the animal soul descended into dark place of death and impurity. However, a Jewish soul always retains his status as a Kohen, namely a part of above the spark of the place of death and impurity. Spiritually speaking, there's no such thing as being in a cemetery. Even a Jew's body is eternal and cannot be truly lost to negative forces forever. It's not possible. That's why Rashi doesn't mention that example. Rashi takes part of the Mechilta, part of the Medrash. He uses part of the Medrash about the donkey that belongs to a non-Jew, but he doesn't use the Medrash that tells a donkey that's in the cemetery, because that would mean that the Jew is dead. That would be an analogy. The Jewish body has been such a sinner that he's dead. He's in a cemetery. And Rashi didn't want to say that. Rashi didn't feel that a Jew could ever be in a cemetery. So therefore, Rashi said there can be a situation where a Jew can be owned by a non-Jew. You can redeem it, you can buy it back. But to say a Jew is in a cemetery, Rashi didn't want to say. So the scenario is that the body is temporarily under non-Jewish ownership, but it doesn't undergo the actual change. It remains a Jewish body. So to suggest that a Jewish body should actually fall into a place of darkness and death, that Rashi didn't want to say.
If I were to suddenly worship an idol, and I become possessed with this thinking that I got to worship, it's my body is now doing non-Jewish things.
Right? Correct. And for the time. I leased my body, I leased my donkey out to the non-Jew. Right. But the concept of taking my body and putting it in a cemetery, Rashi didn't want to give that example. So it's interesting, since the Rebbe says, you see that Rashi himself took part of the Medrash, because Rashi really wanted to give us not just the basic law. Rashi wanted to give us an analogy to ourselves. Rashi wanted to tell us that if the pasuk is in essence saying, if you see yourself given over to something that's impure, given over to something that's not good, you need to rectify him, not help him. You need to rectify him. You need to uplift the body. You need to teach the body. You need to teach your animalistic soul that it needs to get out of the ownership of your Yetzer Hara of negativity and move back into the ownership of positivity. And that's why Rashi brings this interesting example that it's so to say owned by a non-Jew and its vessels is Jewish. It teaches that ultimately a Yid has vessels that are kosher. A Yid is full of mitzvahs. And therefore, even though the moment, even myself, even though right now the moment I might be doing something not right, I need to help myself to get out of that situation. I shouldn't help it to continue that situation. I need to help it to get out of that situation. The Rebbe goes a step further with that. Because ultimately, if we're trying to help the body, right? Because we all want to help the body, whether it's our own body to make it better spiritually, whether it's somebody else's body to help them make a more spiritual way of doing things. So then to the body, things have changed. Things have changed. To the neshama, it never changes. Torah never changes, but the body has changed. And what was good for the body in the times of the Gemara, when the times of Arizal, was good for the body then. What's good for the body then is not good for the body per se, for the body now. And when it's not good for the body now, that means that it's not important and it's not needed right now. That's what the Rebbe, that brings down the Alter Rebbe.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you're on that path. You're continuing on the path. And you say to yourself, if I fast for the next 24 hours, I will stop being on that path. Then I think
100%, yeah. That's a good thing.
Then fast. That's
yes. Yes.
Get out of
but
it is you're stuck.
The problem is that if you go to the Gemara, you go to Arizal, you need to have 150 fasts. Okay, so one fast is not going to help you. Okay, I mean it's on the right way, but you have another 150 to go. So,
but if it helps you mentally, if you think it's helping you,
but we're talking about reality. The Gemara said you need 150 fasts, so the Gemara said you need 150 fasts. So you that's why if you think about it, one fast. Okay, well I want another 149 to go. Forget it. For one anger. So, and I have 10 angers. I got 1,500 fasts. So basically, I should close down for the next 5 years in this fast. So the Alter Rebbe says in the Jewish law, in text number 12, all of this fasting is only advisable for a strong, healthy person for whom it won't pose a health risk, as it was generations past. However, if many fasts will be detrimental to one's health and even cause sickness, as it is most people today, we talked about the Rebbe's time 250 years ago, surely today, fasting is no longer allowed. Not the way to do it today. A person is not allowed to pain their body to such a degree, and one who does is called a sinner. The first chapter of Tainus and Talmud. As the Rebbe says in text number 13a, a simple reading of the Alter Rebbe words in Tanya leads us to understand that at our current times, when fasting is unhealthy, we miss out on whatever could have been accomplished through fasting. While it's true that the Alter Rebbe does suggest giving charity, still charity doesn't seem to achieve the same thing that fasting would have achieved. But this is not the case, the Rebbe says. It is axiomatic to Judaism that God continuously creates the world. Now, in so much as the purpose of creation is for the Jewish people and the Torah, it's impossible to suggest that something naturally that gets in the way of fulfillment of Torah matter. It is unfeasible that God would create a natural phenomena that would not allow a person, despite their best efforts, to achieve appeasement with God after they have sinned. God, in essence, telling us, I'm not giving you the capability to do tshuva, according to this. And that's not possible. If the Eibishter created the world today as a different world, physically, then that means that God says, I don't need you to fast. Like when God destroyed the Beis Hamikdash, what did he doesn't do? I don't need your sacrifices. Your prayer will become your sacrifices. So too, when God changed human beings that they cannot fast 150 times for an anger, and it's just simply impossible. Maybe they could have done it years ago because they didn't eat too much anyway. So fasting was not the end of the world. Maybe, I don't know. But it seems like they had the capability of having the strength to fast. The Gemara says Rav Tzaddik fasted 40 years. He lived on, the only thing he lived on was on the juice of a carob. How is that possible? Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't advise it by anybody. But they're not going to survive. But now, through the demonstrable reason why we no longer fast today is because it's unhealthy to do so, still the very fact that God created a reality in which our modern bodies have no longer able to tolerate fasting proves that we don't need to fast. So relax, don't worry, forget about the 151 fast. Proves that the opportunity to curry favor in God's eyes and which restore our grace as was prior to sin, that its times of fast was accomplished by fasting in our era, just as prior to Mashiach can be accomplished with fewer fasts and charity itself. That's it. So today, we can accomplish, because basically the body has changed. The body has changed. We see that on Yom Kippur, everybody's like dying. One fast, everybody's like passing out. They can't move. Can't budge.
10:30 to 11 o'clock is a communal withdrawal day.
They need food. Everybody's planning a week before Yom Kippur to break the fast, and everybody's thinking the whole Yom Kippur about break the fast. My friends, look at the next paragraph that Rebbe writes, 13b. We can apply the same logic to those who are unable to donate large sums of charity. Person that can make, okay, so if it's charity, what happens if I don't have so much money? I cannot give so much charity. So now I can't get rid of my sins. Yeah, so the Rebbe says, whatever the Eibishter gave you, that's how you can do it. And if the Eibishter, whatever the Eibishter gave you, if you, let's say a person doesn't even have that capable, I don't know. Everybody's struggling, everybody has their struggles. Whatever the Eibishter gave you, that's what the Eibishter wants for you, not more and not less. In so much as heaven has ordained their financial situation, it proves that they don't actually need to give a large donation. 10%. But 10%, it might be the poor man is not going to be able to eat. The organization is not going to say hello, it's not going to give you a plaque because it's just not the value. It's not, but it's value to you. And it's value to you, it's valuable to God. The Rebbe ends, and he says, in text number 14, notwithstanding the fact that one is halachi allowed to fast for the sake of tshuva, right? We're not taking away fast. We're not saying you shouldn't fast. We don't have to fast. The Alter Rebbe insists in Tanya that in our generation, we're not supposed to fast too much. even for tshuva. Our generation has been empowered to rectify all negativity in the way that free any of pain and worry, rather suffused with joy and positivity. So that's what the Azev Tazev Inai means today. What means the Azev Tazev Inai? What means when you see a donkey is under the weight of great sadness, of sin even? Be happy. Do it with joy. Don't do it for fasting. Don't think you got to give big bucks. You got to do it with this generation is a generation that is done. Everything is done with joy and positivity, not with sadness and not with pain. This was the revolutionary thing of the Rebbe, which taught the teaching of the Baal Shem Tov, took the teaching of the Baal Shem Tov of when you see your donkey is, when you see your body, your animalistic soul is waiting under its, you need to uplift it, but you shouldn't uplift it with pain. You shouldn't uplift it with it hurting it, with berating it. You shouldn't uplift it with you should uplift it with joy and happiness, with positivity and joy. Whether it's yourself, whether it's somebody else, you should be a positive and uplifting person, entity, message in the world. And this, we still struggle. There's still some people out there that bash people with negativity. And the Rebbe said, that's not the generation. As a leader generation, he said, this is not the generation. This generation will be uplifted through a positive message, through love, through happiness, through simcha. That's how we're going to change the world, not through pain and suffering. Let's hope and pray that we'll all be happy. We'll all see the donkey, our donkey, or a neighbor's donkey, and we will, Azev Tazev Imai, will uplift it. We will help it out of its situation through simcha, through joy and happiness in our lives. I wish you all a wonderful and beautiful day. What a beautiful, positive message of the Rebbe.